That's what we have seen, that we have accessed this new document dialog box by selecting the create new option, or by going to the file drop down menu, or by using the Control N for Windows or Command N for Mac hotkey. And we have seen in the previous lesson that we have some predefined sizes and resolutions here to start our project. But here you can see that you can give your own details to start working on any kind of project. First thing is to give the name to your project. That name you can define later on when you first time save your file, but it is always a good idea to mention your name here. Like for now, I will give name to this project as my first project. That will be the name of my project. Here you can give the size based on your requirement, and you can use any of these unit setups. Like for right now we are on inches. You can use points, millimeters, centimeters based on your requirement, and you can give the width and height depending on your requirement, or by using any predefined templates from these categories. You can change your orientation from landscape to portrait, or portrait to landscape. You can see right now you have 11.693 inches in width and 8.268 inches in height. If I switch, you can see now your width is your height and your height is your width. You can have more than one workspace or artboard, which we used to call it in Illustrator language. Right now we are defining only one, but you can add more artboards based on your requirement, and you can even add artboards later on as well. Bleeds means the space around your project which you want to define as area which will be considered outside your project. So for right now I would like to give 0.5 inches from top, and you can see that it have defined for bottom, left and right as 0.5 as well, because it is locked for uniform change. Otherwise you can unlock and define your own bleed sizes, but usually we don't need different sizes for top, bottom, left and right. Here you can see color mode, that in which color mode you want to work on. So it is very simple to understand that RGB color mode is for those projects which you are designing for screen display only, like on mobile or on some screen. And CMYK color mode will be used if you are working on some print design, and if you are not sure that your design might go for screen display and might also need to go for print, in that situation you always prefer to use CMYK, because CMYK color mode can be converted to RGB anytime without any loss in quality. But whenever you convert RGB color mode to CMYK, you always have some issues in quality, especially for key color which is black, and that you will see after the printing process, that what kind of issues you might have with your print quality because you have converted your RGB to CMYK. So if you are not sure that you might need RGB or maybe CMYK, so always prefer CMYK, otherwise go for RGB. Resolution effects means that although Illustrator is a vector designing application, but in its effects it uses the pixels to display those effects in your work. So for that, what resolution you want to have for effects? 72 is standard screen resolution, so that will work fine. Otherwise you can go for high resolution as 300 dpi. But if you are not using any effects, you need not to go for any high resolution. 72 will be fine, because basically Illustrator is a vector designing application. If you're working in Photoshop, then you will consider this, that 72 will only for screen and 300 is for print and other uses, and same concept will be used for resolution as we have defined the RGB, that if you are not sure that your design might go for screen and might also go for print, then you always use the 300 dpi. But in Illustrator that is not the case. 72 is fine because it is only used in your effects. Overall, Illustrator is giving you the vector designing tools which are not having any issue with resolution otherwise. So now if I click on create option, I will get my workspace based on these parameters which I have added here. So now I will select create option by pressing my left mouse button. So now here's your workspace which you have just defined. So now just create a new document and come to this stage where you can see your work environment, like with your tools and your artboard and other options.